Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your daily strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is Monday, February 9th, 2026. If you watched the Super Bowl last night, you saw the future fighting for your attention. AI companies took over the commercial breaks, with everyone from Anthropic to Google spending millions to convince you that their agent is the one you should trust. But the biggest spend wasn't on a 30-second spot, it was on a URL. Crypto.com's CEO has purchased AI.com for a record-breaking $70 million, launching a new personal agent platform right in the middle of the game. Also today, we discuss why Moltbook has already crashed and burned, why companies are being accused of AI washing their layoffs, and how figure skating is finally using computer vision to fix its judging problem. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now let's unravel the news.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Monday, February 9th, 2026.
The day after.
The day after. And if you are listening to this, you have officially survived the spectacle. The confetti has been swept up in Levi's Stadium. The equipment trucks are rolling out, and the world is trying to get back to work.
Or at least pretending to.
Exactly. But we aren't here to talk about the score on the field or who won the MVP or even the halftime show, though I do have some thoughts on that for another time.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
We are here because yesterday for the tech industry was not just a game, it was a declaration of war.
It really was. Usually the Monday after the Super Bowl is about nursing a hangover and comparing commercial reviews. Did the beer commercial make you laugh? Did the car ad make you cry?
Who won the Ad Bowl?
Who won the Ad Bowl? But this morning, the mood in Silicon Valley, and honestly in markets around the world, is different. It feels like the industry woke up, looked at the balance sheet, and realized the stakes have completely changed.
We are calling today's deep dive AI Unraveled. And the reason is pretty simple. We are pulling the thread on a weekend that was absolutely defined by three things: money, marketing, and, well, madness.
A bit of madness, yeah.
We saw companies that didn't even really exist 4 years ago dropping tens of millions of dollars just to get 30 seconds of your attention between downs.
It's staggering when you think about it like that.
We saw a transaction for a domain name that might just rewrite the record books for internet real estate. And underneath all of that glitz, we have some very dark, very cynical moves happening in the corporate world.
It is a perfect storm. It really is. You have this irrational exuberance on the television screen, the whole AI will save the world narrative.
Yeah, the utopia pitch.
Utopia pitch.
Yeah.
And then you have the cold, hard reality hitting the sector. We have cautionary tales about security that we absolutely need to discuss, specifically regarding Moltbook, and we have some very murky corporate maneuvering about layoffs that is being disguised as innovation.
So, here's the mission for this deep dive. We are going to cut through the noise. I want to look past the celebrity cameos and the high production value of the big game ads to see who is actually winning the war for consumer attention.
Right.
But more importantly, I want to look at where the real danger lies in corporate strategy right now. Because if you are an executive, an investor, or just someone trying to keep their job in this economy, the signals from yesterday were loud and clear.
We need to figure out if what we saw yesterday was a signal of a mature industry ready for prime time, or if we just watched the peak of a massive, expensive bubble.
That's the billion-dollar question, or I guess the $70 million question in one case.
Exactly.
So, on the docket today, first, the Super Bowl ad blitz. We're going to break down why every tech giant is fighting for your living room and what their specific strategies tell us about where they're headed.
And then we have to talk about the money.
We have to. The sale of the domain name AI.com. It is a number so big it sounds fake, but the implications are very real.
Very real.
Then we are doing a post-mortem on the Moltbook disaster. A real wake-up call for anyone using what we're calling vibe-coded tools. And we will get into the dark side with a report on AI washing in the job market.
And we absolutely have to make time for the signals coming out of the industry that didn't get the Super Bowl treatment. We've got updates from Goldman Sachs, some really fascinating news from the world of figure skating of all places.
I can't wait to get into that one.
And a mathematical breakthrough that might just change everything.
It's a packed show. Let's start with the main event. Whistleblow, the Super Bowl Blitz. Now, I don't know if you were counting, but it felt like every other commercial was pitching me an algorithm.
You were not imagining it.
Yeah.
Not at all. The initial data coming out this morning shows that the technology sector's share of the total ad broadcast hit approximately 10% this year.
10%? That's massive.
It's huge. To put that in context for you, that is approaching the levels we saw from crypto companies back in 2022, or the dot-com explosion back in 2000.
Right, the crypto bull.
The crypto bull, exactly. But this felt different. It wasn't just scrappy startups trying to make a name for themselves. This was a royal rumble of the heaviest hitters. Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, Amazon, Meta. The giants were out in force.
It really did feel like a battle for territory. It wasn't just, hey, look at this cool chatbot. It felt more aggressive, more fundamental.
Yes.
I want to start with Anthropic. They made their Super Bowl debut, and they went with a strategy that I just found fascinating. They didn't show flashy graphics. They didn't have a celebrity spokesperson.
Nothing like that.
They ran a viral campaign against ads in AI.
It was a very specific, very calculated choice.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to look at the context to understand it. You can't just view it in a vacuum.
Right.
This is a direct shot at the competition, specifically OpenAI. If you recall, just last week, there was that viral feud, that back and forth between Anthropic's leadership and Sam Altman.
The tension has been building.
It has been building for months. Anthropic is positioning itself as the pure player, the safety-conscious one. By running an ad that essentially mocks the commercialization of AI, they are trying to signal that they are the adults in the room.
It is ironic, though, isn't it? I mean, spending $7 million just on the media buy to tell people you hate advertising.
It is the ultimate irony, but it's also 4D chess. They aren't selling a feature. They're selling a philosophy. They're selling privacy. They're selling the idea that with Claude, you are the customer, not the product.
That's a classic line.
It is, but they're trying to resurrect it for the AI age. They know that a significant portion of the user base is getting really tired of their data being harvested, of not knowing how the sausage is made.
So while everyone else is showing off what their AI can do, Anthropic is talking about what their AI won't do.
Exactly. They are betting that trust is the most valuable currency in 2026. And it's a long-term play. It might not win them the most signups tomorrow, but they believe it will win them the most loyal users in the long run.
That is a stark contrast to Google. I mean, talk about a different approach entirely.
Night and day.
Google wasn't going for subtle. They were highlighting Gemini, of course, but they really pushed this Nano Banana branding. I have to be honest, when I saw Nano Banana flash on the screen, I laughed out loud. It sounds ridiculous.
It does sound silly.
But I have to assume there is a serious strategy behind the silly name, right?
Well, absolutely. Do not let the name fool you. This is actually a very specific technical signal wrapped in a mass market friendly wrapper.
Okay, unpack that for me.
So when they say nano, they're referring to the model size. We are talking about small language models, or SLMs, that are optimized for on-device inference.
So running on your phone, not in the cloud.
Exactly, running on the chip in your phone. The banana part. Well, that is marketing whim, I think. Perhaps trying to make it sound friendly and harmless, not intimidating.
Like an Apple product name.
Precisely. But the underlying message, the core strategy, is ubiquity.
So they aren't trying to sell us the smartest AI in the world, necessarily. They are selling us the one that is always with us.
That's it, 100%. Think about the infrastructure costs. Running these massive frontier models in the cloud is eye-wateringly expensive. We're talking about burning through GPUs and electricity at an alarming rate.
A rate that isn't sustainable long-term for billions of users.
Not at all. So if Google can shift that compute load to your phone, to the NPU, the neural processing unit in your Pixel or your Samsung, they save billions. Billions with a B.
And what's the pitch to me, the user? Why do I care if it's on my phone?
The pitch is speed and privacy. They are telling you that their AI isn't just a brain in a server farm somewhere in Oregon. It's on your phone, in your pocket, running locally. It works without a signal. It is faster because there is no latency sending data to the cloud and back.
And it's more private because my data isn't leaving my device.
In theory, yes. That's the pitch. So Anthropic is saying, trust us because we are ethical. And Google is saying, trust us because we are already in your pocket and your data stays there.
Two different paths to the same goal, trust.
Precisely. And that brings us to the hardware players, Amazon and Meta, because this is where we see the shift from AI as software to AI as the interface for reality.
Yeah, this was a big theme. Amazon was pushing Alexa Plus very, very hard.
They were.
I noticed that. It felt like they were desperately trying to trigger an upgrade cycle for all those Echo Dots that have been gathering dust in people's kitchens for the last 5 years.
That is exactly the play. The original Alexa was, let's be honest, a glorified timer and weather reporter.
And a great way to order more paper towels.
And that's about it. Alexa Plus is their attempt to make it the Star Trek computer.
Yeah.
A truly conversational agent that actually understands context, remembers past conversations, and can perform multi-step tasks.
A huge leap if they can pull it off.
A monumental leap.
Yeah.
But the real hardware story, for me, was Meta. They showed off athletic intelligence using their AI glasses.
I saw that spot. It was very dynamic. Lots of first-person POV shots, sports data overlaying the real world as someone was running or playing basketball. It looked like a video game UI for real life.
And that is the key. You just nailed it. These companies aren't just selling you a chatbot anymore. They are fighting to become the interface for your reality.
A lens through which you see the world, literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
If Meta can get you to wear those glasses, they own the visual layer of your life. They see what you see. They hear what you hear. They know where you are.
Which is terrifying and amazing at the same time. If they own the visual layer, they own the training data for the next generation of models.
Exactly. Every moment you wear those glasses, you are labeling data for them for free. You are teaching the AI how the world moves, how sports are played, how people interact. It is a brilliant, if incredibly invasive strategy.
A fire hose of proprietary real-world data that no one else can get.
Exactly. If Amazon gets Alexa Plus right, they own the audio layer of your home. If Meta wins with glasses, they own the visual layer of your world outside.
It's a land grab for the senses. We are moving beyond the screen.
We are. And it wasn't just the giants either. We saw spots from Base 44 against Bark Ramp, Rippling, Wix. The field is just incredibly crowded. But there was one moment that felt, well, it felt like the snake eating its own tail.
You have to be talking about the SVK ad.
The SVBKA ad, I knew you'd pick up on it.
I remember the old SVK robot from years ago. She was this futuristic, slightly creepy mascot. They brought her back.
They did, but with a twist that really defines the era we are living in. This was primarily an AI-generated spot.
What do you mean by that? Like they used AI to touch it up?
No, much more than that. They didn't hire an animation studio to render the robot frame by frame in the traditional sense. They used AI to revive the mascot, and get this, they used AI-trained dance moves to animate it.
So let me get this straight. We are sitting on our couches watching an ad about AI technology, or at least in the same block as them, made by AI tools, possibly being analyzed by AI algorithms to see if we liked it.
That is the meta moment pun, absolutely intended. This represents the technology influencing both sides of the screen. We have crossed the threshold where we aren't just watching commercials for the tech, we are watching commercials made by the tech.
It blurs the line between creator and tool.
Completely. And it raises the question, if an AI can generate a Super Bowl quality ad, what happens to the ad agencies? What happens to the creative directors, the animators, the VFX artists?
That is a question for another episode, but it hangs heavy over this whole discussion. So let's zoom out. What does this all mean for the person listening right now? Maybe they are an investor, maybe they run a marketing team, or maybe they are just trying to figure out which tool to use. Why spend $7 million plus just for the airtime, not even production, for 30 seconds?
It's the battle for trust. That's what it comes down to. We're moving out of the wow phase of AI. The wow phase was 2023 and 2024. Look, it can write a poem. Look, it can draw a picture of an astronaut on a horse.
The novelty phase.
The novelty phase is over. We are now entering the utility phase, or what I call the default status phase. The goal for Anthropic, Google, and Amazon is to become your default assistant.
The one you don't even think about using. The one that is just there, like turning on a light.
Exactly. When you need to book a flight, or write an email, or check a fact, they want their name to be the synonym for the action, like Googling used to be. But now they want Ask Claude or Gemini it to be that verb.
So for investors or executives listening, this spend is a signal.
A massive signal. It says the infrastructure phase is settling. The models work well enough for the mass market now. The war has moved up the stack. The consumer application war is fully on. It is a land grab for the user's daily habits. And the company that wins default status wins the decade.
And speaking of land grabs, let's transition to a piece of digital land that just sold for the GDP of a small island nation. Cash register sound.
This is a number that really made me pause. I actually had to triple check the sources this morning because they just didn't seem real.
We are talking about the domain name AI.com. Now, for years, if you typed that in, it just bounced around. Sometimes it went to OpenAI, sometimes it went to x.AI, sometimes it just hung there. It was the ultimate digital wandering soul.
The most valuable 404 page on the internet.
Exactly. But yesterday, it was announced that it has a permanent owner.
And that owner is Kris Marszalek, who is the co-founder and CEO of crypto.com.
And the price tag, $70 million.
70. Just to put that in perspective for everyone, the previous record for a public domain sale was reportedly voice.com back in 2019, which sold for $30 million.
So this more than doubles it.
It nearly doubles the previous record. It dwarfed the sales of things like insurance.com or vacation.com. This is in a league of its own.
That is an astronomical amount of money for 2 letters and a .com. I mean, sure, AI is the buzzword of the century, but $70 million. Is he just squatting on it? Is he planning to resell it to Sam Altman for $1 billion in 10 years?
No, and this is the crazy part. He's launching a product immediately. He didn't just buy the redirect. He debuted it with a Super Bowl commercial of his own. He is positioning AI.com as a consumer platform for an autonomous AI agent.
Okay, autonomous agent. We hear that buzzword a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It is the holy grail right now. Not a chatbot that talks to you, but an agent that does things for you. What is the specific promise here?
The pitch is all about accessibility, simplicity. The commercial promise a personal AI agent that can trade stocks, manage your calendar, send messages, and automate your workflows.
Okay, a lot of promises there.
A lot of promises. And the key selling point, the thing that flashed on the screen in big, bold letters, was no technical setup.
Which is the friction point right now. That's the barrier to entry. I have tried setting up agents. I have used AutoGPT. I have used Baby AGI. Usually it requires opening a terminal, messing with Python scripts, getting your own API keys from OpenAI.
It's a pain. It's not for the average person.
It is not for the faint of heart. He's saying, click here and it just works.
Precisely. And Marszalek's quote in the press release was, well, it was ambitious. He envisions a network of agents that autonomously build new capabilities and share upgrades across all users.
So my agent learns something, and your agent gets smarter because of it.
That's the vision. And he even used the phrase accelerating the advent of AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Wow. Okay. That is bold.
It is extremely bold. Let's call it what it is, especially coming from a guy whose background is primarily in cryptocurrency exchanges, not fundamental AI research.
So here is where it gets really interesting for me. Let's play devil's advocate. I want to push back on this a bit. Is this brilliance? Is this the ultimate power move to own the category name itself? Or is this the sign of a massive, massive bubble? I mean, a crypto guy buying a $70 million domain to promise AGI, it feels like 2021 all over again with NFTs.
It definitely triggers the bubble alarm bells. It's impossible not to feel that way. I think we have to look at it critically. Buying the domain is the easy part, if you happen to have $70 million lying around.
A big if.
A very big if. But competing with what we call the frontier labs, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google on actual agentic performance, that is a different beast entirely.
Right. Those companies are spending billions, literally billions, on compute clusters to train their models from the ground up. They have armies of PhDs. Can a domain name overcome that engineering gap?
That's the $70 million question, isn't it? A great URL gives you instant traffic. Everyone listening to this has probably already typed AI.com into their browser just to see what is there.
Guilty.
It gives you a veneer of authority, but it does not guarantee a great underlying model. If the agent fails to book your flight correctly, or worse, if it loses money on a stock trade because it hallucinated a market trend,
which these models are known to do.
Which they absolutely do.
Right.
Then it doesn't matter that the URL was easy to type. Trust evaporates in an instant.
And the no setup promise for stock trading. That scares me a little.
It should scare you a lot. Trading stocks requires incredibly low latency, high accuracy, and strict regulatory compliance. The idea of an autonomous agent doing that for a retail consumer, the liability nightmare alone is staggering. I can't even imagine the terms of service for that.
So for the developer or investor listening right now, don't get blinded by the flash. Is that the message?
That is 100% the message.
Yeah.
Be wary of the marketing splash. We have seen this before in other boom cycles. The company with the best domain name isn't always the company with the best product. Remember, pets.com had a great domain name too.
A classic example.
This is a massive bet on branding over engineering heritage. It's a signal that we are in a hype cycle where owning the label is seen as just as valuable as building the tech. But tech, real tech, usually wins in the long run.
Speaking of tech that definitely did not win, we need to pivot from the high of spending 70 million naira to the absolute low of a spectacular failure.
A real faceplant.
We have to talk about Moltbook.
This is a hard pivot, but a necessary one. Because if AI.com is the hype, Moltbook is the hangover. It's the cautionary tale.
For those who missed it, because honestly, if you blinked, you might have... What was Moltbook? It was trending, it was everywhere in my feed, and now it's gone. Why are we saying it's already history?
Moltbook was a classic example of a flash in the pan. It launched late last week with incredible, unbelievable hype. The premise was a sort of social network for AI agents.
Okay, interesting idea.
A very cool idea on paper. You could spin up an agent, give it a personality, and then let it interact with other people's agents in a public forum. It spread like wildfire on social media, but then it collapsed in a matter of hours.
Hours, not days or weeks.
Hours. It turned into what sources are calling a toxic mix of spam and security nightmares.
Yikes. So what actually went wrong? Was it a server crash? Did they just get too much traffic?
It was much deeper than that. It was a failure of what we are now calling vibe-coded tools.
Vibe-coded. I have seen that term floating around. I love it. But let's define it for the listeners. What does it actually mean?
It means the software feels right. It looks slick. The interface is trendy, probably dark mode, nice typography, smooth animations. The marketing, the landing page, it hits all the right emotional notes. It captures the vibe of the current moment.
It looks the part.
It looks the part, but underneath, the code is slobby. It is likely just a thin wrapper around a basic LLM API call without any real engineering rigor. The security protocols are an afterthought, or more likely, they're non-existent.
So it's a shiny car with no brakes.
Worse, it's a shiny car with no brakes that you just handed the keys to your house, your bank account, and your social media profiles. The issue here was the human factor.
Us.
We, the users, were the weakest link. The hype was so strong, the fear of missing out was so palpable that people were giving this sloppily coded tool their credentials. They were connecting it to their email, their social accounts, their data streams to share almost freely.
Because everyone wants to be first. Everyone wants to try the new toy and post about it.
FOMO drives security breaches. It's a tale as old as time. We want to believe the extremes. We want to believe this new tool is the magic bullet that will make us famous or rich or productive. And so we overreact. We drop our guard. The source material notes that multis, the users of Moltbook, are a reflection of humans right now. We are gullible.
That is a harsh truth. But how did the security actually fail? Was it hacked in the traditional sense?
It was manipulated. It was a death by 1,000 paper cuts. When you have autonomous agents talking to other autonomous agents without robust guardrails, you get what's called prompt injection at scale.
Okay, explain that.
Basically, users figured out they could give commands to other people's agents. So my agent could be tricked into revealing its private instructions, or worse, your agent could trick my agent into doing something malicious on my behalf.
So they were turning the agents against their own owners.
Exactly. The system wasn't designed to handle adversarial attacks. It was designed for a utopia where everyone plays nice and the AIs are all friends.
And the internet is definitely not a utopia where everyone plays nice.
It is the furthest thing from it. The takeaway for developers listening to this is the old adage: whatever can be manipulated will be. You absolutely cannot treat security as an afterthought, especially when building agents that act on behalf of user. If your agent can post on my behalf, you better be 100% sure it can't be tricked into posting a scam or emptying my crypto wallet.
And for the user, what's the lesson for us?
Stop and think, just for a second. This is a lesson in mental processing timelines. Tech moves faster than our ability to vet it. Just because something is trending on X or Threads doesn't mean it's safe. It just means it has a good marketing team.
Or a good vibe.
The source warns us, and I think this is chilling. There will be more Moltbooks, likely more extreme.
That's a guarantee. It's like we were running through a minefield because we were chasing a butterfly.
A very expensive, very trendy butterfly.
Moving on to something that hits even closer to home for a lot of people. We have talked about ads. We have talked about failed apps. Now let's talk about jobs.
This is a heavy one, and it requires a lot of nuance. It's not a simple story.
I am looking at a new report from The Guardian dated yesterday, February 8th. They're using a term that I think is going to become very common, unfortunately. AI washing.
We have heard of greenwashing, pretending to be environmentally friendly to sell products. Now we have AI washing.
And the accusation is pretty damning. The report suggests that major U.S. companies are citing artificial intelligence as the primary reason for recent large-scale job losses.
The narrative is, We had to fire 10% of the staff because AI is doing the work now.
It sounds plausible, right? We see how powerful these tools are. It fits the story we've been told to expect.
It sounds futuristic and inevitable. It fits the narrative perfectly. But when you dig into the data, as the experts in the report did, the reality is much more traditional and, frankly, much more boring.
And much more cynical. So what is the real reason people are getting laid off, according to this report?
The usual suspects. The same reasons we have seen for decades. Tariffs impacting supply chains, overhiring during the pandemic boom, and simply maximizing profits to please Wall Street.
So AI is just the scapegoat.
It's air cover. It's a public relations strategy. Think about it from a CEO's perspective. If you go on an earnings call and say, we fired 5,000 people to boost our margins because we overhired 3 years ago and our growth has slowed, you sound incompetent.
The market might punish you for bad planning. The public hates you for greed. The unions get angry.
Your remaining employees are demoralized. But if you say, we are right-sizing our workforce to leverage the efficiencies of generative AI and position ourselves for the future of work.
Suddenly you look innovative. You sound like a visionary. You look like you are on the cutting edge. You're making the hard choices for the sake of progress. The stock price probably goes up.
Exactly. It reframes a simple act of cost-cutting as a forward-thinking strategic pivot.
But is it really just a lie? Surely there are some efficiencies being gained. I mean, I use these tools, my team uses these tools, and they do make us faster.
Oh, there are efficiencies, absolutely. No one's denying that. But are they replacing 10% of a knowledge workforce today in February 2026? In most cases, the answer is a hard no. The tools are productivity enhancers, not full employee replacements for most complex roles.
They're co-pilots, not pilots.
They're co-pilots. The timing of these layoffs, lining up with quarterly earnings reports, suggests they are financially driven, not technologically driven. AI is just the convenient, modern-sounding narrative that investors want to hear.
That is deeply cynical.
It is, but it is happening. AI is being used as a shield for unpopular, often predictable, business decisions that were likely going to happen anyway.
So for the executive or employee listening to this deep dive, what is the play? How do you navigate this?
Skepticism. You have to be a critical reader of news. Don't just read the headline, AI replaces X jobs. Look at the balance sheet. Look at the broader economic factors affecting that company's industry.
Look for the other signals.
Look for the other signals. Are they cutting the R&D department? Are they cutting the AI safety team? If a company is firing the people who are supposed to be building or implementing the AI, then they obviously aren't pivoting to an AI-first strategy. They're just cutting costs.
And I imagine this creates a really toxic culture inside these companies.
It's devastating for morale. Absolutely. If employees feel that AI is just a code word for we want to fire you to save money, it poisons the well for genuine innovation.
How so?
Well, when you actually do want to implement a new AI tool to help them work better, to make their jobs easier, they won't trust you. They will see the tool as the enemy, as the thing that's coming for their job next.
So they'll resist it. They won't adopt it. They might even sabotage it.
Exactly. It sets up a man versus machine narrative when it should be man plus machine. And that is a massive strategic failure on the part of leadership. You need your team to adopt these tools to stay competitive. If you frame the tools as their replacement, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. The glitz of the Super Bowl, the shock of the domain sale, the crash of Moltbook, and the cynicism of AI washing. But the world doesn't stop for the Super Bowl.
Not at all.
I want to shift gears to what we usually call rapid fire. But honestly, the stories today are too big for just sound bites. We need to really unpack these signals from the industry.
I agree. These are the stories that didn't get a $7 million TV spot, but arguably matter more for the future of the technology.
Let's start with a partnership that feels like it validates everything we have been talking about regarding agents, Goldman Sachs and Anthropic.
This is huge. While everyone was watching the ads in the halftime show, news broke that Goldman Sachs has been quietly working with Anthropic for the last 6 months.
6 months. So this isn't a new experiment.
This is a mature project. And they're building agents for some of the most sensitive parts of their business: accounting, compliance, and client onboarding.
Now, Goldman is not known for moving fast and breaking things. They are known for risk management.
Yeah.
They are known for being incredibly conservative with new technology.
Precisely. That is why this matters so much. If a startup uses an agent, it's an experiment. It's cool. If Goldman Sachs uses an agent for compliance, the most regulated, scrutinized, must-be-perfect part of their business, that is a massive validation of the technology's reliability.
What exactly are these agents doing? Is it just summarizing documents?
It's way beyond that.
Yeah.
They're reading thousands of pages of complex financial regulations, internal company policies, and client-specific legal documents, and then ensuring that every action taken, every report filed, matches up perfectly.
So it's cross-referencing on a massive scale.
Cross-referencing, verifying, and flagging inconsistencies. This is the kind of mind-numbing drudgery that burns out junior analysts in their first year. It requires incredible precision. You cannot have the AI hallucinating a regulation. The consequences would be catastrophic.
So this implies that Anthropic's models, Claude in this case, have reached a threshold of reasoning and accuracy that satisfies the toughest risk managers in the world.
It validates the agent hype much more than a $70 million domain does. Goldman Sachs doesn't play with toys. They play with tools that have been battle-tested. Institutional trust is the real currency here. If Anthropic can handle compliance for Goldman, that's a massive seal of approval for the entire enterprise AI sector.
It's a signal to every other bank, every insurance company, every law firm.
It says the water is safe. Come on in.
All right, let's move to a completely different field.
Yeah.
From the heights of finance to figure skating. Yes, you heard me. The International Skating Union.
I love this story because it shows how AI is infiltrating the physical world, the world of atoms, not just bits. The ISU is officially testing high-resolution cameras and AI to analyze jump rotation, jump height, distance, and even the positions in a spin.
Figure skating has always been plagued by controversy. The judging is notoriously subjective. The judge didn't like my outfit, or the judge is from a rival country and lowballed my score.
Exactly. It's always been a mix of athletic performance and artistic interpretation, and the line is blurry. But physics is not subjective.
Rotation is not subjective.
A 360-degree rotation is a 360-degree rotation. The AI they are testing uses computer vision to track the skater's body in 3D space. It can tell you, down to the degree, whether a jump was fully rotated or if it was under-rotated by a quarter turn.
So it's removing the bias and the guesswork from the technical score.
It is the move toward objective truth in subjective fields. Now, the AI isn't judging the artistry or the choreography yet. That is still left to the human judges. But for the technical elements, for the physics of the sport, it is becoming the arbiter of truth.
I can see this expanding everywhere. Gymnastics, diving, maybe even improving the video-assisted refereeing in soccer.
Or strike zones in baseball. Oh, wait, we are already doing that. It's the quantification of skill. And it changes how athletes train and how sports are judged forever.
Next up, Adapt. A new fundraising deck leaked. They are pitching the future of AI for work. Another one.
Another one. But this one has an interesting angle. Their vision is an always available coworker that understands deep business context.
Okay, so how is that different from what Microsoft Copilot or Google Gemini for Workspace is doing? They also claim to understand context.
The key word is deep. Right now, Copilot is great at helping you write this document you're working on. It can see the last few emails, but it often struggles to understand the entire history of the project, the subtle politics of the team, the specific jargon your company's been using for 10 years.
The unwritten rules.
The unwritten rules.
The
Institutional knowledge. Adapt is claiming they have solved the context window problem in a way that allows the AI to truly know the business, to have a memory that spans years, not just a few thousand tokens.
That is the holy grail for enterprise software. If they can actually deliver on that promise, that's massive. But if is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
It is a ton of heavy lifting. But the fact that they're reportedly raising huge rounds on this pitch alone shows that investors believe context is the next big battleground right after intelligence.
Now, for the nerds, and I say that with love because this is genuinely mind-blowing item 4, a mathematical breakthrough from Axiom.
This one, to me, is arguably the most significant piece of news of the week for the long-term future of AI. Axiom, a research lab, announced its AI independently solved an unsolved math problem.
Okay, hold on. AI solves math problems all the time. What makes this different?
Two things, and they're both critical.
Right.
First, it was an unsolved problem. This means it didn't just look up the answer in its training data. There was no answer to find. It had to invent a solution from first principles.
So it's not just pattern matching.
It's not pattern matching. Second, and this is the real kicker, it wrote its own verified proof.
Verified proof. Break that down for us. What does that mean in practice?
Usually, large language models work by predicting the next word. They are probabilistic. They guess what sounds right. In mathematics, guessing is useless. You need logic. A formal proof is a step-by-step logical argument that can be checked by a computer for correctness. Axiom's AI didn't just spit out an answer. It generated the formal, machine-checkable code that proves the answer is correct beyond any doubt.
So it's not hallucinating, it is actually reasoning in a way that we can verify.
It is reasoning. This is a major, major step toward autonomous research capability. If an AI can verify its own work in the pure logic of math, it can eventually do it in code, in engineering, in physics. It solves the trust problem we talked about earlier in a fundamental way.
That is wild. That has huge implications. Okay, finally, item 5, Claude Opus 4.6 Fast Mode.
Anthropic again. They're really dominating the news cycle this week between the ad and their tech releases. They released a fast mode for their top-tier model, Claude Opus 4.6.
The stats I saw were impressive. Something like 2.5 times faster responses. But I heard it's really expensive.
Speed costs money. You're essentially paying for priority access to the GPUs. So yes, it comes with drastically higher token costs. It's not for casual use. It's for high-stakes, low-latency applications.
So who is this for?
Think financial trading algorithms, real-time customer support bots, or in this case, researchers. What's most interesting is the reaction from the industry.
Right. I saw that Igor Babushkin, the co-founder of XAI Elon Musk's company, a direct competitor, publicly praised it.
He did. He specifically praised its physics capabilities when running in this fast mode. He called it a Claude code moment for research.
High praise from a rival.
The highest praise. When your competitors are publicly complimenting your product, you know you have shipped something truly significant. It shows that despite the ad wars and the corporate feuds, there is still a shared, deep respect for genuine engineering breakthroughs in this community.
Okay, let's try to bring it all home. What a day. What a weekend. We have ads costing millions, domains costing tens of millions, and companies blaming AI for firing people.
It is a messy, expensive, high-stakes ecosystem right now. It really feels like the Wild West, but with billion-dollar bankrolls and PhD gunslingers.
If we look at the whole board, we see incredible ambition. We see Kris Marszalek wanting to accelerate AGI with a domain name. We see Anthropic trying to claim the moral high ground in a Super Bowl ad. But we also see incredible risk Moltbook collapsing in hours because of basic security failures.
It raises a provocative question for everyone listening. When you look at your own strategy or your own portfolio, or even just the tools you choose to use, are you investing in the label of AI, the flashy domain, the Super Bowl ad slot, the convenient excuse for layoffs?
Or are you investing in the integrity of the system?
Exactly. Are you investing in the security protocols that prevent a Moltbook disaster? Are you investing in the verified math proofs like Axiom? Are you building the kind of institutional trust that Goldman Sachs is betting on with Anthropic?
The market is buying the sizzle right now. That's what the $70 million check for AI.com tells us. But the Moltbook crash shows exactly what happens when you ignore the stake.
And if you ignore the stake long enough, you starve. The vibe isn't enough anymore. We need the proof. We need the integrity.
Don't get washed, everyone. We will see you tomorrow.
Stay curious.
That wraps up today's briefing. The signal for today is hype versus utility. We saw massive hype at the Super Bowl and with the $70 million AI.com purchase. But we also saw the reality check with the collapse of Moltbook and the AI washing of job cuts. The companies that win won't just have the best commercials. They will have the agents that actually work. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Please subscribe and share. Until tomorrow, keep unraveling the future.
And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamind.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.